I'm David Wilkinson. I'm Director of Equipping Christian Leadership in an Age of Science. My background is research in theoretical astrophysics, looking at the formation of stars, the evolution of galaxies, and the Big Bang itself. These days, as a theologian, I'm interested in how we build bridges between the communities of science and faith.
So my background is in the history of science, and I can tell you that if it were possible for you to speak to any historical figure you could name and ask them, are science and faith in conflict? Even if you could speak to Galileo Galilei, for them, faith was the bedrock on which their natural philosophy was founded. Their philosophy informed their faith, and their faith informed their philosophy. The two were together. We now assume that science and faith exist in separate spheres, and that if one says something different from the other, then one must be wrong and the other must be right. We think that science has somehow managed to disprove faith, but that is far too simplistic a way to go about thinking about it.
When it comes to science and theology, for me the two need to be in conversation. As they speak sometimes different languages, this isn't a boxing match where they try and slug each other into oblivion. This is a fruitful conversation where they can learn from insights and question each other. A number of years ago, my late friend Tom McLeish and I were a little worried by the way that church leaders engaged with science.
Before the project started, I think Tom and David saw mainly three reactions to science among clergy. The first was a lack of knowledge. The second was fear around commenting on scientific issues. And the third was just silence. So my research has shown that clergy are generally really positive to science. The issue is that that doesn't always translate into a willingness to comment on science in public. This means that it's really important that we give church leaders a space to talk to scientists, to have conversations with them, to ask them questions, and just to generally engage with the scientific issues of the day in a way that's imaginative and without that hint of fear.
Out of this need, 10 years ago, Equipping Christian Leadership in an Age of Science was born. We developed a project of 5 strands. The first strand was research, trying to understand the attitudes that church leaders have towards science, and also some of the stories or narratives that shape how they see it relating to theology. Second, in conferences, we wanted to bring senior church leaders to meet and be in conversation with world-leading scientists. Third, we wanted to work with clergy and church leaders at the beginning of their ministries. And so in a project called Science for Seminaries, we've worked with a number of theological colleges and courses to help them embed science within the theological curriculum. Fourth, we wanted to recognise the role of the established church in the UK, the Church of England. And so we've partnered with the Church of England to help the church as it speaks into political and media circles on many scientific issues. And underlying these 4 strands, our 5th strand, Scientists in Congregations, has supported local churches in developing exemplar projects where they use the expertise and experience of scientists and technologies within their own congregations or within their own communities to engage with some of the big questions of the day. These big questions might be genetic engineering and what the future of humanity might be all about. It may be artificial intelligence and how we understand ourselves in relationship to technology. Here in the UK, we've partnered with Durham University, the University of York, and the Church of England. But as we've worked together, we've begun to ask ourselves the question, how does context give both opportunities and challenges for equipping Christian leadership in an age of science? And so for the next 5 years, we've been funded not to export our ECLAS model to overseas and international partners, but to work with international partners in developing together a global community of inquiry and practice. It's scary, it's exciting, but we're going to learn a lot.
And that's absolutely key. A big part of the problem when it comes to understanding tensions between religion and science has come from the prevalent assumption that the Anglo-American experience is somehow representative, and it's not. So by working with our Christian colleagues elsewhere, who exist in different ecologies of faith and science, we hope that in this next phase of ECLAS we can learn important lessons for the future.
A measure of success for me is that we help church leaders move away from their encounter with science having fear in their eyes, to encounter science, to embed it in their own context, and have in their eyes a sense of openness and joy to science. And for scientists, to give them a sense that they are both valued and listened to by their churches.